CCA is a trick used to complete objectives requiring a level's collectibles without actually needing to collect them. CCA has become a lot more common in recent years, especially in any percent, so this tutorial will help you learn how to pull off this trick. The first part in pulling off CCA is knowing the requirements. You'll need 3 things: a level to transfer the collectibles from, a level to transfer the collectibles to, and finally, the collectibles themselves. The first 2 requirements are fairly simple because there are only 3 levels we use for these, being Downtown, Rock Bottom, and Kelp Forest. Downtown is used as a place to get the collectibles, Kelp Forest is a place to perform CCA, and Rock Bottom can be used for both. Your route should specify which levels you're using for what purpose, so routing won't be covered here. We'll just use Downtown to teach in this tutorial for collecting since it applies to both levels. So first off, make sure you have the warps for all the levels unlocked. For Rock Bottom, simply enter the level and talk to Mrs. Puff to get the art warp. For Kelp Forest, enter, then run through the woods for a bit until you reach Mrs. Puff to get the camper's task. Once we have both of those, go to Downtown. If you don't have 6 wheels already, you can quickly get them. Simply get a cruise boost and grab these 4 wheels in the streets. Then enter the Sea Needle and grab the 2 wheels in there. Now from here we have 2 methods of performing CCA, being buffered and unbuffered. These methods both have pros and cons, so just use whichever you find more consistent. Unfortunately, buffered is not possible on GameCube. However, unbuffered is possible on all consoles, so we'll cover it first. So unbuffered CCA is done by warping to the level with the collectibles, then to the task you want to perform CCA in. Then as soon as you load in, you use the cruise bubble. Now that's about as simplified as it gets, so let's break it down. Luckily, loads in this game are consistent in length. So what you want to do is load into the area you're performing CCA in, then take note of how long the load is. You can either take a mental note of the general length, or use a timer to actually time the load to reference. When learning, you'll most likely want to use an actual timer. By doing CCA many times in practice and in runs, you'll eventually subconsciously learn the length of the load, so by then, you'll be able to do it without referencing a timer. But this takes a while, so you don't really want to rely on it until you are fully comfortable not using one. If you're on an Xbox HDD, you actually get a small advantage. The load will freeze, then move one final time right before loading. However, to just use this, you would need a pretty fast reaction time, so it's recommended you use the 2 methods in combination to have the best chance of hitting it. So once you have the load length down, warp into Downtown and then warp to the task you want to do CCA in. Once you load, use the cruise bubble on the first possible frame. Now a quick clarification. This trick is a 1 frame, however, this is misleading. While loading in, due to lag, the time to input the cruise bubble is actually extended to be much longer, so this trick is much easier than a true 1 frame. Now we're going to cover the 2 ways the trick can fail. If SpongeBob simply stood there doing nothing, that means you pressed the cruise bubble button too early. If SpongeBob stays in the cruise bubble starting position but has arms, and the collectible counter goes down, that means you used the cruise bubble late. But if SpongeBob stands in the starting animation, has no arms, and the collectible counter is at 6 out of 6, then you successfully hit CCA. So talk to Mrs. Puff to finish the task and collect your golden spatula. Now here's a bonus tip. Once you master Unbuffered CCA and its timing, you can actually add something to make it faster. Along with pressing L, also press A. This will cause SpongeBob to jump out of the animation immediately, letting you finish the task earlier. This does remove the visual for whenever we hit it, so if you're still learning the timing, don't do this. But if you mastered the timing, feel free to add this to save those valuable seconds. Now on to Buffered. Unlike Unbuffered, we don't need to time our input on a specific frame, but that comes with the downside that the window is much tighter than for Unbuffered. So load into the task you want to perform CCA in. Then during the load, unplug your controller. Once the load finishes and the controller unplug message pops up, plug your controller back in and exit the passage. From the pause menu, you'll need to press a button to exit the menu and L the frame after. However, instead of trying to time that, it's recommended you just press the inputs to do a cruise boost. Whenever you do a successful cruise boost input, nothing will actually happen. So if you repeat these inputs, you'll likely eventually perform the correct inputs on accident. Now, unlike Unbuffered, SpongeBob's arms will still load in, but the counter will stay locked at 6-6. So if you exit and that happens, then you have successfully pulled off the trick. So now with the help of this tutorial, you'll hopefully be able to pull off CCA and implement it into your runs. If the tutorial helped, feel free to leave a like. If you have any questions left unanswered by this tutorial, feel free to leave a comment or join the BFB Discord and ask for help in the Speedrun Help channel. A link will be provided in the description. Also, you should totally subscribe to this handsome individual known as Isn't Pap, as he did the voiceover for this entire thing.